Welcome, amazing people, to this very special Peggy Hubbard interview episode of The Ryan Files. If you haven't already, take a second and smash the subscribe button right here to join our community. Peggy Hubbard is one of the most amazing, powerful, and interesting people I've ever met or had the opportunity to talk to. Now, I try to steer clear of politics on this channel. I simply don't believe that a person's views, looks, or station in life should have anything to do with politics. But that's what it's become. A control system designed to label and divide us rather than to allow us to be the unique humans each of us are, with our own unique thoughts and opinions. Peggy Hubbard makes no bones about who she is and what she believes. And if you take a moment to watch this entire episode, I think you'll see what I've been talking about. Her life, her story, her experiences are far more powerful than her political beliefs, and I love that. So enough talking, because the real star of this episode has something to say. And no matter who you are, if you just take a moment to listen, you may realize that we're more alike than we are different, and that love, real love, is more powerful than politics could ever hope to be.
Are you not curious? Who is this man? This enigma? Yes, a man of many talents, but he is a glitch in the system. He spends his nights scouring texts for traces of lost knowledge. We dare not stand by and turn a blind eye to this man speaking on a public forum. It is all in the files. I present to you on this day the Ryan Files.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Ryan Files. I am so excited. This particular day, we have a guest that we have not been able to have a guest of this level of magnitude and awesomeness on this show yet. So please welcome to the show the one and only Peggy Hubbard. Yay.
Yay.
Good to have you on.
It's my honor to be on. Thank you very much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're awesome. I tell you, I'm kind of curious. Having you on is, like I said, this is the first time I've had someone of this magnitude on the Ryan Files, and we're excited about that. But your story is so interesting. How I met you a couple of weeks ago was interesting. But once I got a chance to kind of investigate who you are, what you've done, where you've been, it's an amazing story, Peggy. So if you don't mind, let the people know just a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, raised by a single mother and reared by my grandmother. I had total of eight of us. It was 8 siblings, 8 of us. And my mom worked as a nurse at Barnes Hospital. And actually, Tina Turner was one of her classmates in nursing school. They were friends.
Is that down in Nutbush, Tennessee?
She was up here going to nursing school.
Okay.
And she was trying to get a nursing license, and my mom and her were in the same class.
That's cool.
So that's kind of weird. And she knew her as Anna Mae, and they just called her Annie. That was her name. They called her Annie. And my mom raised 8 children. I got the jitterbugs and hot feet and couldn't sit still, and I knew something was bigger out there for me. So I enlisted in the United States Navy right out of, I did 2.5 years in college. It wasn't for me. My mom wanted me to be a nurse. I wanted to shoot people. I wanted to be a cop. And I'd rather put a hole in them than patch a hole. So, so I did. So I joined the Navy, and I joined the Navy back in the 80s. And that started the whole patriotic love of my country thing, inspired me. And I ended up being married, divorced, came back here, and met Charlie, as we call Mr. Happy.
Now I know why you call him Mr. Happy.
Yeah, you know why I call him Mr. Happy. And we celebrated 30 years of marriage. But in between that, I became active in backing police officers. Charlie was in the midst of Ferguson, and President Obama and the DOJ threw police law enforcement under the bus. And there was a little girl, and this was a nationwide story. It happened right here in St. Louis. Little girl was shot laying on her bed doing her homework, drive-by shooting. They shut up the wrong house. She died in her grandmother's arm. I went on social media, very new to Facebook, didn't know what it was. I had maybe 30 followers at that time, and I just laid into Black Lives Matter. And it went viral, Ryan, and it just started this whole odyssey. And I've been out there speaking for the cops, fighting for the cops, going on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, just being the mouthpiece rather for law enforcement. And it just blew up. And I went from 20 followers overnight. I went to over 2.7 million overnight. And I just been going ever since. I ran for U.S. Senate. I was a police officer for 7 years. I worked for the IRS 17 years as a revenue agent. I raised 6 children and 27 grandkids. Yes. And I am a gun-loving NRA member. I ride a Harley. It's not for show. I ride my own. And after my defeat in politics, somebody offered me a radio job. And the radio job I started last year in February. And I got syndicated across the country. And I have now been syndicated around the world. And I found out the day before I came down to Branson that my radio show is the #1 conservative show in the state of Missouri.
That's amazing. That's
wow.
Amazing.
And married to Mr. Happy 30 years.
What an incredible life. What an incredible story. It's funny. My niece, she's from Texas, and she hears your radio show. And she reached out to my mother and heard my interview with you, which was interesting. So your reach is long and far.
Yeah.
To say the least, right?
It is. And I'm being heard. I've been syndicated in UK. I've been syndicated now in Ireland, Scotland. I'm told that they listen to me on the military radio station overseas. Germany. I am everywhere except Russia and China. I'm not allowed.
I understand why.
Yeah. So other than that, Canada, I'm huge in Canada. So it's humbling. It really is.
It's amazing. Well, let's get into it. Let's dive in. Every guest I have on, I ask one important question because it kind of deals with some things that are going on in today's world. And I just like to get people's feel. It's no longer taboo to talk about this.
No.
Are UFOs real? And if so, who are the pilots? Let's hear what you have to think about that.
Hell yeah, they're real. They're real. I have to believe that we are not the only beings in this universe. And I think that our civilization is probably primitive, caveman-ish to what they probably have. And I do not believe that we are the only intelligent, that's a broad stretch, intelligent life. I do believe the UFOs do exist. I think there is something out there. Now we're finding out that the government has known for years, Area 51, all of these things that are happening. What happened in Vegas about a month ago? Was it? So I saw the video, and it's definitely something is out there, and I believe that these aliens probably drive by Earth and lock their doors. I would too, but but I do believe there is a more superior life being than ours. I do. I believe it.
All right. Well, I mean, and it's so funny the answers you get on that question. And it is interesting too, how many people say, yeah, there's got to be something. Yes, there's aliens. The reason why I asked that question is because it has such a huge significance if, in fact, it is true. So I just like to ask that. And all of a sudden, things get a little muddier, but also very clear when we look at a global structure where maybe human beings are not the most powerful thing around.
No. And I also believe that there is a lot of reverse engineering going on. I look at the cell phones. We were watching Star Trek and they had those little flip phaser phones, and I'm going, come on now, this is getting too close. A lot of things I believe that are reverse engineering, and Charlie and I talk about that a lot. And we have the Navy tried to keep this quiet when I was in the Navy back in the 80s, but they were developing a rail gun. We have a rail gun. They just don't talk about it, but the Navy does have, and they're trying to keep it quiet, but they do have a rail gun.
Yeah, and those are amazing. Those are just incredible. Like when you think about what a rail gun is, and it's basically just high velocity particles, not even that big, but has a bigger destructive value than, Hiroshima times 10.
Yeah. And I believe that a lot of the technology that we're now seeing coming forth in our lifetime, I believe is all due to reverse engineering.
Yeah, for sure.
And I believe that. I do. It's just too coincidental to dismiss, and you can't dismiss that. There's a lot of technology out there that we're seeing now in our lifetime that gives me pause to go, wait a minute, how did they come up with this? We're not this smart.
Yeah.
We're not this smart. So yeah, I believe the lasers and technology, the advancements we have, all of that, I believe is reverse engineering. But they don't want to tell us that, and they don't want us to know that it is such as that. But it is.
Yeah, and it's amazing too. You get into all this stuff, and we talk about a lot on this program. But the technology is one thing, but obviously issues like 0 point energy, free energy. We spend so much time, money, and effort on global warming and the non-use of fossil fuels and all these different things. And it doesn't necessarily matter what you believe in it, but the 0 point energy stuff is real. And it's been shown to be real. And I also understand why maybe you don't want everyone to have access to unlimited energy so that you can create the next whatever terrible bomb or whatever it is. I get all the sides of the argument, but like if it's available, we find ourselves in the situation that we're in today, whether or not you believe in global warming or not. I mean, we're spending so much money, and ultimately it's taxpayer money. And it just, honestly, this leads into some of the questions I wanted to ask you. So if you don't mind,
sure.
I wanted to get this, I saw in your profile, you have the phrase unbought and unbossed, which is awesome. And why it's awesome is because it speaks of character.
I don't take crap.
Yep.
I don't.
And if ever there's a time, I believe in this country where we needed someone with some character, that's right now. And like, I'm an optimistic guy, but the people that I run into, and I run into a lot of people in the entertainment business. But my boots on the ground again and again, it's like the people in today's country, they've lost faith in the government, even in the electoral process. But as well as those, that obviously then influences appointed jobs like judges and whatnot. So how do we combat this?
Well, the first thing it has to be is knowledge. I keep telling people knowledge is the key to fighting this leftist sliding we're sliding into Marxism, we're sliding into socialism. And I realized over the years working for the government, especially working for the Treasury Department, they want to try to keep us as dumb as possible. Knowledge really destroys what they're doing on the left. And they don't want us to have that particular knowledge. And I get hit with that all the time from people from the left. And when I give their argument, when I hear their argument and they want to argue with me and they want to come on the radio station and they want to throw out their argument with me, I combat it with knowledge, Ryan.
Yeah.
And that is what's going to save this country, the knowledge. People need to know what the government is doing. People need to know that when they say government funded, like you just said, it's taxpayer funded. Nothing is funded by the government. You, the taxpayer, are paying for everything. The Achilles heel to taking this country back is educating the people on their rights, on their civil liberties, or what they can, or what they're supposed to have, taking care of our legislative body, getting these people out. They've been there for too doggone long. This was not supposed to be. Our forefathers said that they're supposed to be in office 2 years, maybe 4, for a state, for a Congress person, because they could not be away from their farm back then.
Right.
It was never meant to be a lifelong career.
Right.
We made it a lifelong career because we did not pay attention to the signs that they were giving us. We just kept electing these people over and over and over again. That is not how our forefathers set up our Constitution and our leadership. It was only supposed to be temporary, and we're supposed to get new ideals coming in. We're supposed to get new laws that were for our future.
Right.
This was not what government set up, and people don't know that history.
Yeah.
So how are we going to get past this and get our country back? It's going to take knowledge. That's the first thing. We got to start educating people on their Second Amendment rights, their First Amendment rights, their civil liberties. We have to demand better from our politicians, and they're employed by us. It's a job. We're their employers. And some of these people need to be fired. But a lot of people don't want to talk about that. They just want to skirt around it. Oh, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change until you guys get knowledge. And that's the problem. They want to dumb us down. Look what they're doing to the schools right now.
Oh,
They're dumbing us down.
I work with where I work at the theater. There's a number of younger folks who are there. Maybe they work in the box office or concessions or whatnot. But it's amazing to me, like the ability to write.
They can't.
They don't understand. I mean, cursive is like, wow.
Yeah.
But just even writing, because they're so used to working on a tablet versus writing. And these are just basic things. I feel terrible. And you're right. I truly believe you're right in terms of knowledge is power. Now, knowledge is everything.
Everything.
But what I find is the relationships between people, right, left, okay, is that we've lost the ability to be able to converse with knowledge. And if it doesn't fit your political side of the aisle, then it's labeled, number one, it's labeled left or right. And if I'm on the left, I'm not listening to the right. And if I'm on the right, I'm not listening to the left. But what we end up doing is we end up devaluing just truth or facts.
Yeah.
There's so many things we can look at where, um, truth is truth,
Yeah.
and it's just, it's amazing how that line has been blurred, and
Yeah.
it's been blurred, on the political level that is ultimately a massive divider in our country. I think that there is definitely and I hate it. I hate that I have friends that are, both conservative and liberal, but that
Mhm.
they won't listen to the other side. Rather, they
There
take
you
joy
go.
in the division.
There you
Um,
go.
it's like, hey, I belong on a team. Yeah, but this
Yeah.
is
There you
this is
go.
truth. We should
Mhm.
all be involved in this. So it's just an ironic thing, but it does get back to what you just said, and this is very pertinent. And I'm gonna read something, that leads into a question that really connects with what you just said, because you're right. Term limits would be unbelievable and,
Yeah.
whatnot, but we're still talking about elected people. What do you have to say about this? Now, we have, as far as we know publicly, 18
Mhm.
different intelligence agencies. They obviously fall under the executive branch of the federal government. In
Right.
2023, their budget was around $1 trillion. All right.
Yeah.
Um, I can't find the actual number of employees, but it's somewhere around the million level. It's estimated too that there are 3 times, that in terms of contractors, government contractors who work for the intelligence community. Of course, that brings government into the private sector, which
Right.
then therefore avoids FOIA requests, which are Freedom of
Yes.
Information Act
Information.
requests.
Mhm.
Now, these are all on elected officials. There's 542 elected officials in the federal government. All right. And we were
Yeah.
just talking about them, and there's enough problems there, maybe, but these are unelected people who have lifelong careers.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder who's really kind of in charge of the government. I mean, how do we combat that? Because honestly, we saw Donald Trump try to do that. Drain the swamp was one of his things he said, but then we saw the news last week, and I think
Yeah.
it's all interconnected in some way. So, you know, and I don't think this is a right or left issue. I don't care if you love Donald Trump or if you hate Donald Trump. This is a sad day, that we're seeing happen. And the bottom line is, on the very basic level, he's just saying, hey, let's have government be by elected people that people actually are voting for, and
Right.
policies that they're interested in, and not run by agencies, 18 different agencies. And there's probably more than that, probably some we don't know about, but it's a million to 4 million people out there that are making policy and they're not elected. How do we,
Yeah.
and years ago you had Chuck Schumer saying, hey, you mess with the intelligence agency, they have 6 ways a Saturday to shut you up.
Yeah.
How do we combat this? I mean, and is this the America? This isn't the America I feel like I grew up in, and I'm 51. I'm not,
Yeah.
super
I'm
old or anything,
60.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm 60. I remember back then. And how we combat this, the problem that we have is we have a lot of people in the private sector that are not elected that are pulling the strings. I'm talking about the Rothschilds. I'm talking about what's his name? Bill Gates. Those people. You got people like that sit on the that World Forum, and they are calling the shots to the federal government. And the problem we have is when you get those kind of people into our private sector, into our government. Bill Gates is trying to revamp and take over agriculture. Bill Gates in the state of Illinois is the largest landowner in the state of Illinois. The man is buying up farms like you would not believe.
yep,
He is actually trying to control the farming market, what we grow. That should not be allowed in our government. But he is running shot with the Department of Agriculture. That should never be. Private sector should never be connected into our food supply, our military, our currency supply. You see what happened to the dollar. The fiat dollar is now worth roughly, they said 22, 23 cents now, because we're printing more than what we can actually spend. We don't have it. Our country is broke.
Yeah.
And who is calling the shot? Not the president, not the elected officials. It's all these private sector people. It's the Rothschilds of the world. It's the Bill Gates. It's all of those individuals that are running shot. They are calling the shots in Washington, D.C. Big Pharma is calling the shots. We saw what happened with COVID. They were calling the shots. They were saying how long COVID was going to last. And now that we hit that plateau, now they came in and said, COVID is much like the flu. They made their money. Yeah. And our elected officials should not be playing around with the stock market. That's another thing. They're being bought and paid for by the stock market, big time. Right. They made Fauci, they said they believe he made over $50 million.
Wow.
Off of stock options with Pfizer, with Lilly, with the other pharmaceutical companies. They said he made over $50 million. Nancy Pelosi made over $20 million. Big Pharma, all these companies, they're not, these elected officials are not being run or ran by their constituents. They're being ran by Big Pharma, the Rothschilds, the Bill Gates of the world, this economic forum that they have every year. They're making the decisions for Washington, D.C. We're not.
Right.
Our elected officials are not making the decisions. The World Economic Forum is calling shots, and people are not paying attention to that. And that's where the knowledge comes in again. That's the problem.
Right.
You got to get them out.
Is there a way to combat that, though?
Legislation. But the problem we have is right now we are on a razor thin seating in the House and Senate right now. It's razor thin. It is really, really thin right now. Right. And we're finding out that yesterday, 7 Republicans voted with the Democrats. Yesterday, 7 voted to allow another Biden appointee, never Trumper, to be seated as a judge.
Right.
So that's the problem. You have people that say, hey, vote for us. We're going to stop all of this. But we just found out yesterday, these 7 people, Lisa Murkowski, Lindsey Graham, who else is the other one? Mitt Romney. That's no surprise there.
Right.
We got these 7 Republicans that keep voting with the Democrats. And right now, Ryan, it's not about Democrat versus Republican and vice versa. It's right now elected officials versus the American people.
Yeah.
And until we start speaking up, none of this is going to change. Until we start changing our mindset and changing the way we vote and get that knowledge, none of this is going to change and none of this is going to matter. And that's why I got this radio show. And now people are listening because they're going, hey, she makes sense. Yeah, we're not paying attention to this. None of these decisions are being made in Washington, D.C. All of these decisions for our country are being made by the World Economic Forum. That is what's happening. And nobody's paying attention to the big picture. And that's what's going on. We got to get away from them.
Yep, I get so frustrated too, because as soon as the truth starts coming out on this stuff, the first thing that happens is it gets politicized into, well, this is a right or a left thing.
No.
And I think you just made a poignant point. It's an American versus our government almost kind of a situation.
And it came about like this right after Obama. And I voted for Obama twice. I was a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. I was told as a Black woman, you must vote Democrat. You must vote Democrat. Don't look behind the curtain. Don't ask questions. And they say indoctrination does not happen in schools. My high school teacher, which was my sister-in-law, was a Carter delegate for Carter.
Okay.
When I was in high school. And she told us that the Republicans were going to put us back in chains. They were trying to hurt us. They're not for us. And I drank the Kool-Aid, as they said, and I listened. And I was such a staunch Democrat. Ferguson happened. And I saw for myself the lie. And I was like, this man is on television, Obama, throwing law enforcement under the bus. My husband was shot twice in the upper body, in the chest, over his vest, by a Black Lives Matter activist. After that, I said, you know what? I'm done with the Democratic Party because this man almost caused my husband's death. And after that, I ran from the Democratic plantation and I became a Republican. I started listening to Trump and I started seeing things. He's right. The Democrats have never been for us. Why are we voting Democrat? Because as a Black American, and I hate the term African American, I'm from St. Louis, I'm not from Africa. Okay? And I saw it. And I saw the evil in the Democratic Party. And I said, okay, I'm no longer a Democrat, I'm a Republican. And now running for office and saw the manipulation of the Republican Party. If you're not highly educated, law degree, a doctorate and all of that stuff, you're not on their level. That's
Right.
how it is here in Illinois.
Right.
But people, I was a grassroots candidate and people resonated to me. They understood what I was saying to them because I opened their eyes and I opened their ears and I opened their heart. And I told them, you cannot accept the things that are happening unless you're willing to acknowledge that it's happening to you. And they started listening. And I got to be honest. We got a few people in the Republican Party that are righteous, but we got the other few. Oh, I have a Frazier outside.
That's my buddy.
And I have and we got a few that are good, that are solid conservative Republicans that are fighting the good fight, but we got a lot of them that are just there for their own personal interests, and they are not for us. Yeah. So I tell people when they say, are you a conservative or a Democrat or Republican? I say, what's the difference? What's the difference? I like to say I'm a constitutionalist.
Good for you.
Because I go by what the Constitution lays out. There's two books that we should also, doctrines that we should also follow. Your Bible, your Constitution. That's it.
There you go.
That is all. And I tell people I'm a constitutionalist.
It's funny. People never used to go to Washington, D.C. to make money. You know, elected officials never went to Washington to advance businesses or anything. And it seems like that's changed, obviously. You know, I wanted to get to a number of things today, but I want people to take a moment and understand, like, I don't get political at all. And part of the reason why I don't get political on my shows is because I'm not political, because it seems like today you've got to be political. Yeah. And you have to pick that side to get approximately 50% of the people to listen to you. And I have zero desire for 50% of the people to listen to me and the other 50% to hate me. I'd rather just talk sense that maybe we can all agree on. So I understand what you're saying about being a constitutionalist, because any issue today, ultimately, if it's of any value, it's just going to get dumbed down to, oh, well, is that a right or a left issue? And which side are you on? Yeah. Zero progress on anything if that's the way you're thinking. Yeah. But you've done this amazing thing. You've ran for Senate. You've spoke your mind. You've experienced stuff with Charlie. You've experienced this amazing thing that, as tragic as it is,
Yeah.
also it was enlightening. And God bless you and Charlie for having to go through that, and all the people that had to go through that time. And we all did in our own way. But you've got this amazing radio show now, and hey, they can call you a grassroots, don't have your law degree, whatever they want to say. But the truth of the matter is, you started with 30 people on social media, and now you're over a million, over 2 million, almost 3 million. You have a syndicated radio show. You're obviously speaking truth, and people want to hear it. Keep on doing what you're doing. That's awesome. But I can imagine that it's also a burden. It's not a burden. That might be the wrong word, but there is a responsibility that comes with having a voice like you. So, and I know, like, we're human beings at the end of the day as well. I love the fact that Charlie likes Elvis and you like to ride around in a Harley Davidson.
That's right.
How does Peggy Hubbard, this person who, no matter who you are, people will put a tag on you. And that's their right to do whatever. But you're also, at the end of the day, just a human being who's living life. And how does Peggy Hubbard get away from being Peggy Hubbard? What do you do?
I pull out that Harley, I throw on my cowboy boots, throw on my jeans, find my hundreds of Harley t-shirts, throw on one and pull my hair back and throw on my tunes and throw on my Led Zeppelin and hit the highway and just roll. That's where I find my peace, Ryan. And it's not who I am, it's what I like to do.
Right.
I've been writing now for, I think, about 13 years now. When I retired from the Treasury Department, the first thing I did was go buy a Harley, and then I rode by the Federal Building downtown St. Louis, and I gave everybody the finger that was standing outside. I did that. I did it. It was fun. But it's where I find peace, and it's where I go to talk to God. We got a lot of back roads here in Southern Illinois, and I live in a town that's nice, but it also has a lot of rural areas. So I just pick a road and I just hit it. And it gives me peace. A little backstory about talking to God. When Charlie and I decided to leave the Democratic Party. I made it public on social media that we were leaving. Charlie, a lot of people don't know this, is an ordained Baptist minister. And he's been an ordained Baptist minister since he was 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
His father, his grandfather, his uncles are all Baptist ministers. And he became one at 18. So his grandfather has one of the oldest churches in East St. Louis and the biggest. And he is one of the associate pastors. And when they found out that I made the announcement on social media that I was leaving the Democratic Party and I was joining the Republican Party, because I realized, all my life, all my views were conservative views, but I'm not allowed to express that in Black society. Something's wrong with you. You're broken. So we announced that we were stepping away and we're going to become Republicans. We went to church. They called him down from the pulpit. They called me up. They took our keys and told us we were no longer welcome.
Wow.
And they put us out of the church for our political views.
Wow.
And I turned around, being the person that I am, being outspoken. I turned around to the congregation. I said, you see what they're doing to us. You see what they're doing to my family. Any church that is more concerned with my political views and aspirations and not saving my soul is not a church. This is a cult. And it is one I am walking away from with pride. Charlie and I, we held hands and we walked out. I never saw Charlie cry ever, but that night it broke his heart because he helped build that church with his grandfather. And he was his grandfather's right-hand man. And they told us we were no longer welcome because we did not fit their ideology or political views of what we are supposed to be. As Blacks, we're supposed to be Democrats. And my high school teacher, if they say doctrination doesn't happen, oh, it happened, because she told us we had to be a Democrat. That's it. Yeah. And I never told anybody, not even my mom, that my first vote was for Reagan. I loved Reagan. I love Reagan. I do. And I have one of his actual letters, and I bidded on it and I won it. And I actually have a Reagan letter that I'm going to pass down to my grandkids. And, but yeah, they told us we were not welcome in the church. So Charlie and I, on Sunday, if it's a beautiful day, if he's off work, he'll pull out his Harley and we ride and we find an open field and we park our motorcycles, we hold hands and we pray. And that's our church. That's our church.
Awesome. That's awesome.
But it's sad. Well, it's a sad commentary of what this country has turned into be.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not just, we've got so many dividing factors, race, and no matter what it is, it'll pit right against left again and again and again. It's like the magic potion for distracting.
Everything. Yeah.
In
it's
Hollywood,
called dog whistle politics is what we call it. It's dog whistle politics.
Yeah.
So when you start talking about race, that's when you have people, minorities perk up, because to them it's like a dog whistle.
Yeah.
So, and that's what they use to keep us right where they want us. They want to keep us there.
And it is different, but in the same terms, it's kind of not different in entertainment, especially like on the Hollywood side. I can speak, living in Hollywood, you have two choices. You can be a Democrat, or you can lie and tell them you're a Democrat. But if you're not one of those two, you're not welcome.
No.
And that's a broad brush. Yeah. It's absolutely true. And it's sad. I find that in the entertainment business as well. There's a lot of people, and again, I kind of don't even get political about stuff because I think it's gone beyond that.
Everybody loves Elvis.
I think it's funny though that we have to divide it into right and left, and we're beyond right and left at this point.
It's beyond it. It's now them against us. And when I tell people that, I said it's no longer right against left. It's them versus us, and it's them. And I'm talking about the bureaucrats. I'm talking about Washington, D.C. It's them, and it's on both sides. The tainting of this country, the tanking of this country. You can't blame just one party. They're both to blame. And the problem that we have with both parties is nobody's willing to listen. Nobody's willing to hear the other person out. Everything has to be an attack. Everything has to be a one-up. Everything has to be Mr. Showmanship. It's all getting so murky and so disgusting. And I'm kind of happy, Ryan, that I didn't win. I'm kind of happy I didn't win, because I'm doing something that is impactful, that people are tuning in every day around the world, and it's working. And I don't have that restraint. So I'm kind of happy I did not win, because I think I would have been miserable. I really do. To see such backbiting and such fighting and not getting the people's work done. It's all, we got to get this person. We got to get that person. We got to go get this person. Now we're going to do tit for tat. What about the business of America? What about us?
Yeah.
What about us?
Well, listen, I think, and I'm just bringing out a name, but I think, God rest his soul, I think Rush Limbaugh was more impactful
yes, he was.
in his life as someone on the radio than he
Mhm.
would have been as a politician, because I feel like as a politician, you're entering into a system that's, if it's not broke, it's certainly, banging the cylinders or something's wrong
Yeah.
with the engine,
Yeah, something's
So,
wrong with the cylinders. Yeah, and people tell me about say that about me. You're like the female Rush Limbaugh. I'm like, no, don't call me that. Don't, because I cannot even be on the level of him. But I am humbled and I am flattered and honored to have the opportunity to reach people. Like you said, your niece,
yeah,
she listens.
yeah.
And and I told Charlie, the one bad thing about having this voice, having this radio show, and being who I am, I can't cheat on him. They know who I am. I can't cheat.
What was Charlie's?
I would want to, even if I wouldn't
Oh,
even do it anyway. But it's kind of funny. I'll walk through an airport and I'll get Peggy Hubbard. I'm going, oh my God, I'm in Flagstaff. They know me here. Oh yeah, we know you here. I'm going, oh my geez. My
that's
husband
awesome.
said, you did it. You done did it now. Everybody knows who you are. So it's cool. It really is. But we got a lot of healing in this country. Our children, we owe it to our grandchildren, our children, to try to save this country.
Yeah,
We do. We owe it to them to at least try. And maybe we'll take a UFO to bring us all together.
thought
You
about that.
know?
Thought
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, maybe we need some Independence Day going on here to bring us all together, to throw away our differences and look at each other, not as black, not as white, not as red, not as brown, but look at us as one race, and that's the human race. That's it, baby. That's the human race.
And that's kind of what Ronald Reagan said back in the day.
Yeah.
He literally said something to that effect. It's interesting. My wife texted me this afternoon. It's something very interesting. And there's a quote. Isn't it weird that in America, if you fly an American flag, everyone knows who you're voting for?
Yeah.
Isn't that
Isn't that
incredible?
sad? Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
My neighbor across the street was called the police on me and Charlie because we had a Trump flag in our flying on our house. She called the police and told the police she was offended and she wanted me to take it down. So the policeman came across the street and was writing out a summons. And on the summons, it said, "Tell Peggy to keep up the good work. We're rooting for her." And she thought we were getting a summons. And he handed it to Charlie and he read it. And but yeah, if you fly an American flag, that you're racist, you're a white nationalist, you're a Christian nationalist. I believe, Ryan, if Jesus was walking the earth today, they will call him a Christian nationalist and a bigot.
Sure.
I believe they would. I believe they would. If you fly a flag, we know who you're voting for. You're voting for Trump. You can't love your country.
Right.
And I'm a veteran. I love my flag.
Right.
I love my flag. And I don't stand, and I took a lot of flack on the radio show, people calling in because I refuse to acknowledge the Black national anthem. There's only one national anthem. Why do I need a separate anthem? I don't. When I served our country and I wore that uniform, I saluted the flag and our national anthem because I felt that that is unity. And I talked about this today on the radio. We didn't see, we saw a lot of patriotism after 9/11. Remember that?
Yep.
There were American flags everywhere and they sold out. What happened to that?
Yeah. Yeah. And Peggy, I mean, what happened to that for sure? But like, I can even think back, just think how far we've come in like maybe the last 10 to 15 years. It's a different America.
Yeah, it is.
And you can just think like, if we can go from here to here that quickly in a short period of time, 10, 15 years, what if something doesn't happen, what will it be like in another 10 to 15 years? I don't know.
I'm thinking we're sliding in I got to be honest, and I put this out there. I think we're sliding into a possible civil war.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I don't think they're going to jail Trump, but Steve Bannon he's part of our radio station. Steve Bannon is part of Real Talk radio station, and his show comes on before mine. And Steve has to report to prison on July 1st. He will be coming out of prison 3 days before the general election. They're jailing him just long enough so he cannot be an advisor to Trump's campaign.
Yeah.
Exactly 4 months, 3 days before the general election. And then you got Peter Navarro, who's in prison, who will not be out until after the election. And you have all of these things that are happening. I think if something happens to Donald Trump, I think all bets are off, and I think we would be seeing a civil war. I really do.
Yeah, it's scary to think about. And what's even scarier is that, we see it throughout history, the pendulum.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gone pretty far up on this side of the pendulum, and it feels like it could be coming back. And when it does, if it does, when it does, I wonder how open-minded everyone will be then. Or will you have the same outlook on everything that you're currently having? It is politics, and I hate it because I don't think it's necessarily the solution. I do believe that you're absolutely right. Education and informing people and getting people just to be critical thinkers.
Yeah.
Think for yourself, not what you're told.
Yeah. It's decipher for yourself. I got to the point where I stopped listening to mainstream media. When I do research for my show and I look at different stories, I don't get enthralled in what MSNBC says or Fox News or CNN or Newsmax. I don't get enthralled in any of those shows because I know there is a media slant to everything they're telling us. And a lot of times they're not telling us the full truth.
Right.
And my grandmother used to say, there's two sides to every story, but somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
and
two
she
sides.
was absolutely right. There's two sides, and somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Right.
So you have to decipher for yourself and not take it on face value what media tells you, because they're not telling us everything. Look what happened with the Hunter Biden laptop. They told us it was all misinformation. Turned out to be true. They said that Hunter was a crackhead. Oh, no, that's misinformation. And anybody that talked about that on social media, like me, I got put in Facebook jail. Turned out it was true.
Right.
All of this was true. So mainstream media is not going to give you the full story. They never will. They are working for the government. The government, just today, Biden told his people to go after the Wall Street Journal for talking about his mental incapacity. And so we know that media a lot of times is controlled by the government.
Oh, yeah.
And it's getting more and more socialistic and Marxism and Marxist because we're not getting the full story as Americans. We're not.
Right. And if you speak out and you're speaking what you believe to be true and whatnot, you can be shut down real quick. Like
a whack-a-mole. I mean, as soon as your little head pops up, whack-a-mole, boom. They're going to come after you. And nobody's come out. They came after me a lot. I mean, they have censored me. They have shut down my campaign page, Facebook page. They shut me down on X. I had to get Jim Jordan involved in Twitter and going after Twitter and Mark Zuckerberg for shutting down my Facebook page and my Twitter page for my campaign. They now have to pay me. I get checks every 3 months from Twitter and from Facebook, from them messing with me.
Good.
I was in a class action lawsuit. They came after me, Marjorie Taylor Greene. They came after Matt Gaetz. They came after Byron Donalds. They came after a couple of other candidates. And we did this class action lawsuit, and now they pay us.
And guess what? Guess what? They wouldn't be paying you if they were in the right.
That's right. And that's what I told people. If I was wrong, would they be paying me? No, I get those checks every 3 months. I get a check from Facebook. I get one from what's his name? Not Elon, but Dorsey, hit that guy who is from St. Louis. But yeah, they have to pay us for shutting us down, for telling the truth. Just giving the people knowledge is scary to Washington, D.C. And it's on both sides. It's the Republicans as well as Democrats, because I attack them and I go after the Republicans when they're not doing what they were supposed to do, when they promise to do it for us and they don't. I hold them accountable. And that's what we got to start doing, Ryan. We got to start holding these elected officials accountable. And I told them when I talked about January 6th, you saw the B team. You have not seen the A team. Because if we come out, it's going to be 1776 all over again. The people are tired. Yeah.
Yep. Amen. Listen, you've got it's kind of incredible. I've really enjoyed talking to you. And I would encourage people that watch this. I don't care what your political views are. And if you're on the left side of things, or if you're on the right side of things, or kind of just you can make your observations and what you think, but do not shut it off.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
he's
say hello to my kitty.
I love your kitty. Frazier's outside. My cat is outside. My cat can't stand my guts. My cat loves Charlie. He doesn't like me.
My kitty makes an appearance almost every week. So
he's so cute. What's his name?
That's Finn. But people, I encourage people not to, hear other people. I like to listen to to people. In fact, I would love to find someone who's kind of on the left side of things, just to have on and ask kind of the same questions.
I had too. I had people on my show that were Democrats, that were flaming left. And I said, we can agree to disagree, but the important thing is you're here in my studio and I'm listening.
Amen.
I said, isn't that something?
Yeah.
And yeah, I even had a guy walk up to me in Sturgis. I go to Sturgis every year. I had a guy walk up to me in Sturgis who was a Klan member.
Oh, wow.
And he said, ma'am, I listened to your radio show and I just want to shake your hand. And I saw his swastika. I saw his SS lightning bolts. I saw his swastikas and stuff on his arms. I saw KKK. And I said, you're a Klansman? He said, yes, ma'am, I am. He said, but let me just tell you this much. I listen to you. And I've never listened to anybody so attentively in my life, especially a woman of color. He said, but you know what? You make a lot of sense. And he said, you don't care that you're standing here talking to a Klansman? I said, no. I said, you're my brother in Christ. I said, you're my brother in Christ. Don't you know that man went back to Kentucky and he gave up the Klan?
Yeah,
we're
that's
friends
awesome.
now.
That's awesome.
We're friends now. We're friends. We're good friends now. He's having the tattoos removed.
That's
and we're
awesome.
friends. He said, you changed my heart. You didn't shy away. You didn't call me names. You embraced me and said, you're my brother. You're my brother in Christ. And he said that just changed his whole dynamics of his brain. And he walked away from the Klan, and him and I are friends. And his children call me Nana P. Nana P. That's what they call me, Nana.
The truth will set you free.
Yes. And he said, I gave it away. I walked away from it. He moved out of the area. He's still in Kentucky, but he moved away, and he's he started his whole life over.
That's awesome.
He said, you just something in me he said, you just changed my heart and said, you're my brother. I do not deny you because of the color of your skin.
That's
And
awesome.
that's what it's all about. That's where we need to get back to, Ryan. That is where we need to get back to. We need to set aside who did what to who, slavery and all that. Let it go. Let it go. Holding on to that stuff is dead weight. Let it go. Move forward. Love each other. Respect each other. Listen to each other. We can agree to disagree. But at the grand scheme of things, at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters in Christ. And that's the way I look at it.
Amen.
That's the way I look at it. It's just as simple as that.
Amen. So I love your message. I love you're doing something that most people don't, and that is you have your side, your opinion, but you also listen. And guess what? That's a rare commodity in today's world. Thank you for that. That's awesome. How do people listen to you? How do they get a hold of you? How do they follow you? All the social media stuff, the radio show, all that.
Let's have it. Well, they can go to my Facebook page. My Facebook page is Peggy Hubbard. They'll see the picture of the radio station seal, the Eagle. It's Real Talk 93.3 FM. They can follow that page. They can come on Facebook, follow me on my Facebook page. That's the one that has 400,000 followers. That's the most active one on Facebook. I have other ones on Facebook, but that's the most active one. They can follow me on X. I'm there over there. I have a considerable following over there. I'm also on Cloud Hub. I'm also on, where am I? Oh, we're going to Rumble. We're moving to a new station and we're going to go to Rumble. And I am talking right now to a production company here locally. And we're talking about doing the same thing as Steve Bannon. And I'll be working out of the radio station, the new one. And I'll be doing the radio show as well as I'll be doing a podcast lining up with Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon, Mark Levine, all of those heavy hitters, and they're sliding me in too. So they can go to Facebook and follow me, Peggy Hubbard, my public figure page, X. We're on Cloud Hub too as well. And they can go to Real Talk 933 with the Big American Eagle on Facebook. I'm over there too.
Okay. Final question.
What's that? Yes.
Are you considering running for office again, ever?
Hell no. Ryan, I don't think I have it in me anymore. I've seen the dirty back door, back deal, back room politics. I've seen how dirty it can be. It took a toll on me. It took a toll on Charlie. It took a toll on our marriage. I did it twice. I would love to work with the incoming administration on some projects, reaching minorities, bringing them to becoming constitutionalists, because let's be honest, Democrat, Republican Party ain't working. We need to be constitutionalists. We need to rely on our Constitution and our Bible. Those are the two doctrines we need to rely on. I would like to work with the Trump administration. I know he's going to win. I would love to work with him. I would love to work with outreach to minority groups, going into these neighborhoods, finding out what it is they need. Because you can't really sit down and converse with individuals when you're elected. You got this time. Oh, I got to go. I can give you 5 minutes. I don't want to do that. I want to sit down. I want to find out what it is we can do to make your community safe and make it better. And I think I would be impactful to any administration to be allowed to do that, whether they're Democrat or Republican. I would love to do that and bring my experience of living in an impoverished neighborhood, growing up, not listening to people saying you're never going to be anything. Look at me. I am exactly what I chose to be because I chose to be it. and nobody can take that away from me. So running for office again, it's dirty. I don't think I have the heart, but like never say never, but in the forefront right now with this radio show and everything that's happening, I kind of like where I am.
Awesome.
I like it. I do.
Man, I appreciate you so much, Peggy. Much success, and God bless you and Charlie, and be praying for you, and just continue being awesome. I love it. I love everything, and I don't even have to agree with everything you've said, or
No,
we
don't have to agree.
I just love what you're doing, and it's awesome. And thank you so much for joining me.
In my honor.
I'm going to be stopping by Collinsville. You're not far from Collinsville, right?
I am 15 minutes from Collinsville.
I'm going to stop by Collinsville here in about probably a month or so we're going to be doing an episode on the mounds out in Collinsville.
Oh yeah, Cahokia Mounds.
Yep. So we're going to be checking into that. Maybe I'll hit you up and stop by, say hello or whatever. But I appreciate you guys so much. Anytime you're in Branson, you know how to get a hold of me. We appreciate you.
Yeah. I'm coming back actually in August.
Hit me up.
I'm bringing the grandkids.
I'll bring them.
Just a set, just a set of them.
I was going to say all 27 or what? 28 you said?
We have 20, I got to count, 26. 27 will be here in November.
God bless.
I'm tired just thinking about it. Oh man, they all have numbers, Ryan. I say number 7, leave number 4 alone. Number 12, I'm going to choke you. Number 8, if I talk to you again. No, Nana, I'm number 3. I go, okay. I give up. I give them all.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah. But we love it.
That's
awesome.
It's
a blessing.
Well, God bless you, Peggy. Thank you so much for joining me. And we will, we'll be keeping an eye on you. And certainly I'm going to get all this information out to my listeners. So we hope that we'll see you again. All right.
Thank you very much.
God bless.
Take care.
Peggy Hubbard is awesome, and I'm happy to call her a friend. If you'd like to tune into her radio show, On the Reel with Peggy Hubbard, just visit realtalk933.com/get the app, or just scan this QR code. I will also leave links to everything in the description. Now, you can catch Peggy on the air Monday through Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time, or catch up with her on Facebook at Peggy Hubbard IL, which is short for Illinois, or on X at Peggy Hubbard IL. And of course, you can find even more information about her at PeggyHubbardForSenate.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please smash that subscribe button below. Like and share this episode with your friends. The world needs to hear more Peggy Hubbard. If you want to support The Ryan Files, please stop by theryanfiles.com. Buy one of our t-shirts or click that Become an Agent tab where you will be redirected to my Patreon page. Sign up and get agent-only access to special content and receive discounts on merchandise. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you. Now stop by next week for a special Man in Black episode of The Ryan Files. No, I'm not talking about those dark-suited dudes from the CIA. I'm talking about Sean Barker, star of the award-winning show, The Man in Black. If you're a Johnny Cash fan or a music fan in general, this episode is just for you. Be amazing out there, friends. Do something unexpectedly nice for someone else this week. Stay curious, and I will see you right here next week on The Ryan Files.
The Ryan Files.